There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. I think a tall angel just walked by. 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 There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my there goes a sight. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul.
One, two, three, jump!
Get wild.
Chiefs Kingdom. It's time for All Chiefed Up with your hosts, Steve and Mike Williams.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up, the best damn Kansas City Chiefs podcast in the kingdom.
Chiefs Kingdom, what's up, baby? Noah Gray here, tight end for your Kansas City Chiefs. You're listening to All Chiefed Up with Mike and Steve Williams.
Chiefs Kingdom. It is Tuesday night. We're going to do a little live mock draft with RGR's Daniel Harms. He will be here in just a few minutes. So let's take a few minutes and talk to each other a little bit. How you guys doing today? Let us know in the chat. Hit that like button. Let the algorithm know to throw this around. Steve, what are you doing today, man?
Same old, dude. Just chilling, pretty much. Cole here, he says, can't believe the draft is just over 2 weeks away. Man, that is insane. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of snuck up on us this year. Last year, it seemed like it took forever for us to get to the draft, and we were doing all the content and everything, and it kind of drug around a little bit. But this year, dude, it just snuck up on us. It's almost here.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. It's in Kansas City this year. If you guys are watching from Kansas City, Missouri, if you're watching from the other side in Kansas, let us know if you're going to be at the draft. NFL's actually projecting more people to the NFL draft than they said the Chiefs would have at their Super Bowl parade, which to me, that seems a little ludicrous, Steve. Don't you think?
They said double.
That is
crazy.
crazy.
We were at the parade, and it was ridiculous how many people were there. I mean, it was just a Red Sea for real, like as far as you could see. And they're expecting double for the draft, which, I mean, you do have people coming from all around the world for it. So it's a possibility, I suppose. I guess we'll see. I don't know if we're going to ride out there or not. We talked about it, but man, it's 2 weeks away. I don't know about it.
Yeah. Kelly says 300,000. What's 300,000?
Is that what they projected for the, they said 1 million people at the parade is what they said.
Yeah, I was thinking it was over 1 million. That's crazy though. What's up, Doug? Yeah, Punk Rock Tuesday. Doug, we missed you last night. If you guys missed it last night, we actually went live with future first-round pick Calijah Kancey from the Pittsburgh Panthers. That was an honor to talk to Calijah. We actually got the video up on YouTube right now. YouTube is actively suppressing it. They do not like the fact that we talked with Calijah Kancey last night. They didn't enjoy it because they thought Calijah Kancey to the Chiefs made too much sense, and they're tired of this dynasty we have working. So, yeah, go back and find that. Yeah, go back and find that. Give that a watch after this. But, Steve, man, are you excited about Daniel Harms and the mock draft that's coming up here in a few minutes?
Oh, for sure, man. Mock drafts are always fun. We had one with Ryan from RGR last week, and that was pretty fun. So I'm excited to see what Daniel's perspective is on everything, because I know him and Ryan, they agree on a lot of things, but they disagree on a lot of things as well. So it'll be cool to get his side of everything. Doug, who said it's Punk Rock Tuesday, put in the comments, what are you listening to if it's Punk Rock Tuesday? I want to know what we're listening to today.
Yeah, for real. Doug says he also saw it. Thank God for replay. Yeah, the replay's up. It's actually going to go live in its entirety probably later tonight, tomorrow, but we actually put up a full, like, just no questions and whatever from everybody, like before, after. We just put up the exact stuff. But yeah, man, it looks like Daniel has joined us. Should we go ahead and bring him in, Steve? Are you guys ready for Daniel Harms? If you are, hit that like button. Let him know that you guys are here in the chat.
All right, let me bring him in here. Maybe. What's up, bud?
How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there. The last threads of my sanity are clinging to my brain right now, but I'm doing good.
Is that from draft content or from single parenting?
Both are both giving me a good run.
I hear you, man. I was chasing my kid around all day today, so I'm right there with you, man. Yeah, so what are we going to do, Mike? Are we going to do like a 3-round mock and just kind of take it slow, check it out like we did with Ryan?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do 4. I'm not going to do trades today. Daniel, you want to try to predict trades? I just don't like doing that.
It's hard to predict where they're going to go. You have to get the right team, and you have to predict that the team wants to trade back. I just don't. I'm so bad at trying to figure out which team's going to want to do that. I think that a lot of teams that typically fit with the Chiefs want to trade up also want to trade up, so that doesn't make much sense. So it's I'm good staying where they're at 31. What's going on, Doug?
That sounds good, man. Let's see. I will go ahead and get this thing up and going. Let me know if you can see this on your screen. Let me see.
There we go.
It's lagging a little bit today. Can you see everything good, Daniel? Is it good to go? Okay, awesome, bro. This is probably set up for 7 rounds, but I'll probably stop it after 4. That way we can kind of talk about each pick and everything. It's on walkthemock.com. We're not going to try to do trades, so I'm just going to go ahead and get it going, and we'll jump right into it, man, because we know your time is valuable.
No problem. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. While we're waiting on it to get to our pick, do you have any my guys that you like the Chiefs at 31? Like, do you like we had Ryan on a few well, it was last week actually. So exactly 7 days ago, Ryan was here. He thinks they need a offensive tackle or bust in the first round. Are you that same, on that same wavelength, or do you think it could be defensive player or maybe even wide receiver?
I think it's got to be one of the three that the Chiefs need seemingly almost every year: at tackle, defensive end, and wide receiver. Those are the big three. I don't think it's going to be anything else. I don't think it possibly can be anything else unless something crazy happens with a guy like Jalen Carter and he falls all the way down to like the 20s, and the Chiefs are like, yeah, we have to go get this guy. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense, in my opinion. But again, it's hard to predict what Brevich is going to do. But I would imagine tackle or defensive end, because the way wide receiver is looking, that teams don't necessarily think that this is a great group to take in the first round. So I would put my money at tackle or defensive end.
I totally agree. We had Miles Murphy just come off the board at pick 30. That would have been a great pick and a great fit for the Chiefs. I think Murphy is one of the only Spags fits there in the first round. Do you see Miles Murphy?
Scroll up and see who all got taken?
I'll go through the last few. I'm just going to go to like 27. Joey Porter, Deontay Banks, Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker, he gets mocked in the first round a lot. I could see maybe that 5th year, but I just feel like that's a little early, don't you?
It's too much. I like Hendon, but he's the 5th quarterback. He is also 25 years old. You cannot. You're looking. I get the Saints will need eventually a quarterback, but you're talking about someone who's like what, 6 years younger than Derek Carr. You're drafting a guy who should not be a first round pick this year, even without his injury. I don't think he was a first round pick, so it doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, I'm going to blow this up full screen for you guys for just a few minutes so you can follow along with me. We'll just look at what we have on the board right now. So this is the big board to the left. We have Brian Branch, corner, John Michael Schmitz. We have Jordan Addison on the board. That's a position of need. The Chiefs have looked at Dalton Kincaid. I've heard they've talked to him a little bit. We have Calijah Kancey. He was actually on the live stream last night with us. Calijah Kancey is a cool dude. I don't know if he fits the Spags thing, though. What's your opinion on Calijah Kancey?
He is not a first round pick to me. He's going to be a monster in terms of getting in the backfield, but he does not have the functional strength that the smaller defensive tackles need to have. And I know that everyone's saying, well, Aaron Donald did it. Yes. How many Aaron Donalds do you know of? You don't. They don't come around. It's one guy. And we always want to hope that the outliers hit, and I do. I hope the outlier hits with him, but I don't see the functional strength. He gets pushed back, and when you're a defensive tackle in the league that's going to get double teamed, especially when you are a nose 1 tech 3 tech ish kind of player, you're going to need to take on double teams and be able to anchor in there. I don't think he can do that personally. So
he said if he was beside Chris Jones that they would cause hell because they would be double teaming Chris Jones. And he's going to win the one-on-one matchup because he's got leverage. He said it don't matter if he's little. He said that's stupid.
That's fine.
Yeah, he's very confident. I'll give him that. Okay, so
what else we got, Mike?
Jordan Addison, Jahmyr Gibbs, Mozzie Smith, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Josh Downs. We're starting to get in. I'm a big BJ Ojulari guy. I just don't know if he fits what we want to do. What do you think, Daniel? What do you think? You want me to look at something specifically?
Do you pull the tackles real quick and see what they got there?
These drafts love to take tackles.
Oh, good
quick.
Lord!
There is nothing left, so
There's
they all
no
went
one there.
Yep, they've all went in the first round. I'm afraid.
I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened.
I wouldn't either, to be honest.
I'm afraid with the quality of wide receivers slipping so bad this year that you're going to have a big run on those tackles and things. So.
Yeah, tackle and defensive end is going to be pushed up because the wide receiver is not there. So I like Felix. I don't know if he's a first-round pick personally. And, I mean, when we're talking about having to take a pick here, because I know that they're not going to trade down. It just doesn't make much sense.
Right.
If it were me, I did this the other night where I traded up to get this player at 25 with the Giants. I took Jordan Addison, and I think that if we're looking at the offense that the Chiefs, they run, it makes a lot of sense to take him in this situation with the value on the board. There isn't much value unless there's more defensive ends there, which I didn't see. But
no,
I would rank Addison higher on my board than I would rank Felix. So that's my own thing. I know people want to draft Kincaid. I get it for the 12 personnel, but he's just also, in my opinion, not a first round pick. I have one first round graded tight end. And, I really like what Kincaid offers from a receiving standpoint. He's just a liability everywhere else. He can't block. He just can't block. You can't really put him in line. And
you like Mayer better?
I do. I have a first round grade on Mayer.
Yeah, me too.
Again, it's like late first. It's not like someone in the middle, but he's the only first round grade I have at tackle or at tight end. I keep doing that because the T at tight end, and so he's the guy that I like a lot. But I think that he's probably going to go before the Chiefs draft, and I can't bring myself to take a tight end in the first round. I just can't do it.
Right.
It kind of reminds me a lot of last year, though, when they had Trey McBride and Greg Dulcich. Both of those guys, like Trey McBride's more of the Mayer, and then Dulcich is more of the Dalton Kincaid. Of course, Ayan didn't end up going until I think the second round, probably. So maybe that could happen again this year. You never know.
Definitely.
I think I'm in agreement with Daniel. The way this board sits, I think Dan's right here. It's looking to me like Jordan Addison's probably your best value. I actually have Addison comp to Stephon Diggs, like the light diet version of Stephon Diggs. I do believe he could probably play some slot, I guess. So, I mean, I don't know. I'll go with you, though.
Tape.
I think Jordan Addison here for me, Steve. What do you think? If you think Jordan Addison, that's 3 for 3, and we'll roll with it.
I mean, honestly, I don't care to take a wide receiver in the first round. I just don't. I'm kind of like last week with Ryan, we took Quentin Johnson. We traded up and took him at 25, I think, because he'd fell. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do it, let's pull the trigger. American 1020, he says Addison, bro. LOL. So, I mean, he's on board. So
well, look,
we might as well.
Dan is the guest today. He gets the tiebreaker. We're gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on Addison. It looks like. I like Addison, but watching his tape, I felt like he was more effective at Pittsburgh than he was at USC, and I felt like he just. I don't know. To me, he wasn't strong sometimes at the catch point for me, but I can see Andy Reid scheming some stuff up with Jordan Addison.
Yeah, he needs some space. He's not the best with contact through his route stem. He doesn't do it well with contact in the catch point, at the catch point, around his routes. He has problems with that. Obviously, being smaller does not help. And he was more productive at Pittsburgh because he got the ball thrown at him like 100,000 times. He was just like, there's no one else in Pittsburgh. And he just was like, I got to throw it up to somebody. And I know Addison's going to be at least marginally open. Yeah. And they really just kind of moved the ball around a lot at USC with different playmakers.
They kind of had the Josh Allen thing, like just throw it up. Somebody's down there somewhere. Okay, second round.
Him, why not?
Second round.
What's going on, Scott Crosser? We see you made it today.
Let's see. We had some receivers flying off the board here. We got some edges. Will McDonald's off the board. Adebawore is off the board. Cam Smith, Keely Ringo. Thule come off the board. Zach Charbonnet. So the Chiefs are up. Sidney Brown, Cedric Tillman, which we do not need at this point. Luke Whippler, Derek Hall, Luke Musgrave, Antonio Johnson, Keanu Benton, Tyjae Spears, and I can go look at any specific position you guys want me to look at.
I think we look at edge. Bring up edge. Offensive tackle, I feel like we're just kind of crap out of luck till late. I feel like in this draft, if you don't go up and get it in the first round, you're probably going to hang around for like 4th, 5th, 6th round and get like a Carter Warren or something like that. More than likely, if you don't grab one in the early round. So I think we look at defensive end here. I think that we'll go look at edge and
I've got edge
even
on the board.
Defensive tackle. I mean, either one, something to shore up the defensive line.
Daniel, what are your thoughts on the Matthew Bergeron? I talked with Ryan about him. I did not like Bergeron. I thought he was very huggy, and I just didn't like him. What do you think?
I wasn't a big fan of Bergeron. I think in the second round, he's somebody you can reasonably talk yourself into. He's much better than Jalen Duncan. Jalen Duncan doesn't know what he's doing at all. At least Bergeron understands how to play tackle for the most part. I don't think that Jalen Duncan has a clue what he's doing. He's just some guy that he's really big. He's athletic, and they're like, hey, go over there and play left tackle for us. Just kind of get in the way. He has no idea what he's doing. I promise you. Keanu Benton might be my favorite pick right here. I won't lie. It's hard to pick a defensive tackle when edge is the way that it is, and tackle is the way it is. But like Benton is a whole animal you could actually plug in at your nose with some pass rush upside next to Chris Jones. That's some defensive craziness, and then just kind of go off on that. If one of those two guys is getting a double and the other one's not getting doubled, you're going to have some pressure up the middle. So I like Benton there. Derek Hall was one of my guys for the draft, especially for the way that he fits what Spags wants. Big, more of a guy who's going to collapse the pocket. He has some bend, doesn't have a ton, but he corners well. He's got long 34-inch arms, and he just kind of needs to learn how to use them better and then combine that with some inside counters. But I like Derek Hall. I think he's probably going to go before this personally, but we'll see how the defensive end class actually gets through for the first round, especially with if no wide receivers go very many in the first round. That is going to bump up edge and bump up tackle. So, right. And then a tackle, it's kind of just Bergeron again. It would be the pick here if you're taking a tackle, and you're hoping that he can develop and play a little bit more on the strong side.
Yeah, not a huge Bergeron fan. Did you have a comp for Derek Hall? Like, I seen a little bit of like Frank Clark. Not fully Frank Clark, but it was kind of that similar style.
Yeah, that's kind of what when I did my Derek Hall breakdown on RGR, I kind of showed the similarities between the two and their physical profile. I think that Derek's a bit better of an athlete, but we saw Frank Clark at 255 this year, and he was more disruptive as a pass rusher than he had been in Kansas City. What?
Yes.
Not right now.
Doug says take defensive end in the second here. So, Doug, do you like Derek Hall better than Keanu Benton at this point in the draft? Put that in the comments.
Yep.
To me, I like Derek Hall a lot. I'm with Daniel. I think he's a prototypical Spags guy for sure. Probably more than anybody else in the draft. Benton, no. Benton, I like the idea of finally getting somebody beside Chris Jones. Like, that's why I don't hate like if someone like a Kancey fell to 31 to take him just off of value alone, and then or Keanu Benton in the second round. I mean, we've had to deal with a rotation of guys like Derek Nottie, Turk Wharton, a million different guys, and then a lot of times they'll move Mike Dan on the inside, George Karlaftis on the inside. Like, why can't we just get somebody in there that can wreck with Chris Jones already and make his life a lot easier?
Yeah, no, it's fun. I wasn't on board initially. I didn't see a ton of the athletic ability or the pass rush, but the more I got into his tape, saw him at the Senior Bowl, he's definitely got more than I expected him to. Watch what you're doing, please.
Yeah, 100%. So, are we in agreement? We'll take Benton here.
Let's see what they got to say, because I don't want to make people too mad.
Okay, let us know in the comments. Keanu Benton or Derek Hall. We'll give you guys about a minute.
Scott Crosser says he likes Benton. Let's see. Anybody else have any?
Chris Wright says Hall. So we're at 1-1 here.
There's two Bentons.
Yep, there's another.
There's
Benton.
2 Bentons.
We got another Hall on the board now.
Oh.
Okay, guys, we got a 50-50 split working. Julian Hall, baby.
Hall, baby.
4-3. The next one that pops up is getting the tiebreaker. Here we go. You guys rush to the comments. I'm with you guys though. I think Keanu Benton's a good pick. He might not be the sexy pick. Everybody wants the edge rusher, you want him. I just don't know. I think that Derek Hall is could develop into a solid second pass rusher. That's what I thought Frank was. He was a solid second guy. He wasn't like the number one guy. He was paid like a number one guy, but he just wasn't that. And I feel like that's what you're going to get with Hall, and he's got some upside. It looks like Benton's going to take this one, guys.
Benton made a comeback here.
Benton just got a huge comeback. We're going to go ahead and take Benton and move on just because, sorry, Derek Hall fans. We're going to look at pass rusher here in the next round probably.
Hey, K. Calhoun, he says, would not be opposed to grabbing Kuntz, but doubt he will last to pick 95. May not last till then. Kuntz is athletic. Dude, so I love Kuntz. I feel like he reminds me of Mike Gesicki when Gesicki came out of Penn State. Obviously, he's not as good as him, like a polished player, but like just the pure speed and athleticism. So for tight ends, I don't mind a fall back. Like if they're going to take a tight end, definitely don't think you should be taking one high like Kincaid or anything. I'd wait for one of those guys like that for sure.
No one's gonna like me because I don't like Zach Kuntz. I can't stand him.
What is it about him that you don't like? Because I did see a few things on tape, but I just like his overall athleticism.
He's a lovely athlete. He just doesn't know what he's doing. His catching technique is wrong. He can't like read a defense either. He actually transferred out of Penn State. He was at Penn State, went to Old Dominion. Now he's a fifth-year senior, I think, too, on top of all of that. And he still doesn't know how to play the position. He doesn't block. He can't give you anything as an inline blocker. And if you're going to be a fifth-year senior, you're transferring down in competition. Usually you see the transfer go the other way. You go across competition or you go from a smaller school to a bigger school. I don't necessarily see a ton of people transferring from Penn State to Old Dominion because they can't get around Brenton Strange. Like, and that's not like the, crap on the guy. For all the athletic ability in the world, he just doesn't know what he's doing. And that it does bother me. It bothers me a lot.
Yeah, he's definitely raw. Coming out of Old Dominion, I don't know if you expect anything else than that he's going to be raw. I think this might be the place we look at tackle, but I do like this free safety, Jatavius Martin. I think he is a very, very free, rangy safety, ball hawk kind of guy. That's what we're in the market for lately. I just don't know. Do you feel like we're going to go defensive back, be it safety or corner, before round 4 or 5? Like, do you get that vibe?
It really just depends on the value. And for safety, if we're looking at the roster a year from now, 2 of those guys are gone. Okay. Edwards and Bush are both on 1-year deals. So if there's a guy in Jatavius Martin who's a really good player on the board and the Chiefs think, there's not really other value picks here, we don't want to trade down. We see this guy that we like, and we know that next year he's not going to be able to play. These 2 guys on our roster aren't going to be in Kansas City. Either they're going to price themselves out or they're just going to be aging out, and we want to continue to revamp and get younger. I can see them going safety in early, but again, that's going to be no defensive ends, no tackles, and they still need those picks. I don't see it as a huge possibility. Again, that doesn't mean that they won't do it because they've been so good at nailing 4th, 5th round picks in recent years that they might have a guy that they feel at tackle or edge or wide receiver, whatever it may be, that they're going to get in the 4th or 5th round, and to forego some of that for a more valuable asset that they might be able to transform in the next couple of years. So it's, as much as I want to say no, that they're not going to take a defensive back, I put absolutely nothing past Brett Veach and company trying to do whatever they can to make the team the best that they can be.
Yeah, that's 100%. With tackles on the board, we have Tyler Steen. We know the Chiefs have talked to him. They interviewed him at some point. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom likes Blake Freeland out of BYU. We know Andy Reid's got a BYU connection there. I think Freeland is what's the term for Freeland? He's like skinny fat. Like he doesn't have any upper body strength with me. I think
weight room.
Yeah, I think Tyler Steen actually held up better in some of his reps he had at the Senior Bro.
Yeah, he looked much better. Blake Freeland cannot stop somebody from beating him on the inside for nothing. Like he just can't do it. They power right through him. So I would stay away from him. To be honest,
Daniel, who do you like better, Steen, Freeland, or Wanya Morris? We also have Warren McClendon on the board. Ryan wanted to take Warren McClendon last week, and we actually did take him in the 3rd round right here.
I like Warren quite a bit. I think especially if they're going to keep Taylor at left tackle, which looks like the plan, then he makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I personally like Blake Freeland. I also think he's got way more upside than Wanya Morris, who's a senior, or some of the other guys here too. He's got upside. Just get him in a weight room. I think it'd be better. He's got the athletic agility, but again, it's all boating on the fact that he has to get better as a guy coming out of BYU. You don't really know the full extent of what they can and can't do unless they get up against that, until they get up against that competition. So he's more of a you kind of have to wait and see. I like going for tackle here. I think that's really the value with those guys on the board in the third round.
The edges right here. The edges. Andre Carter II from Army. I liked him at first, but the more I watch his tape, I don't know about it. He looks lost a little bit. And Kobe Wooden, Ali Gay, KJ Henry. Jeremiah Martin out of Washington. I kind of like him. The Chiefs looked at him. I think round 3 is a little early for Jeremiah Martin, though, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dan, we'll give you the tiebreaker here, man. What do you want? Do you think it should be one of these edges? Do you think it should be one of the tackles? If so, which one do you want to roll with, man? We'll give you the sole pick here.
So, Byron Young is a 100% Spags guy, but he's 25 years old. He's got athletic ability, but he's also raw to the extent that he doesn't really know what he's doing with his hands and his arms and his counters. He's got some real issues with that, and his first step, a little inconsistent right now. I think that the value is better at tackle here than it is at edge. There's going to be some guys. I like KJ Henry personally out of Clemson. I think he's a good developmental type of guy that would possibly turn into a 2 if the Chiefs think that George Karlaftis is going to be their 1, and it's Chris Jones being their 1A, 1B. It doesn't really matter. He's the guy that's going to make everything go. They're going to build around that with 2s and 3s, however they feel like it. Charles, Amen was going to do some things in the pass rush situations too. So I think tackle probably makes the most sense because they're going to be able to get some, I'll say, better value in the 4th round at edge. Personally, that's my opinion. But
okay, so Blake Freeland, Warren McClendon. Which one you want to roll with? I feel like you're a McClendon guy.
I would go with McClendon personally because you could plug him in at right tackle and just be set. I personally think that he's a plug and play right tackle right now.
Yes,
I think you like him better than Steen.
I do. He's a bit younger too, from what I remember. If maybe I'm wrong about that, but I like younger guys that are plug and play assets, and I think that he got underrated playing across from Broderick Jones. People kind of overlooked him.
Yeah. No, you're right with Steen. Steen actually started his career, I want to say at Vanderbilt, as a defensive tackle, and then they moved him, and then he come to Alabama, 5th-year senior, I believe. So that's off the top of my head. Don't hold me to that. I'm almost positive. Dude, after 250 evaluations, my brain is toast and mush. So let's just roll with Warren McClendon here. I like the pick. I think it's a solid pick. Again, if we don't take the tackle here, you're looking at 4th and 5th and 6th round guys, and you don't even know if they're going to produce as well as what we have on the roster, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I just do not feel comfortable. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom is very comfortable with the kid out of TCU that we drafted, Lucas Niang. I'm not comfortable with Lucas Niang.
I'd love to be comfortable with Lucas Niang.
I would love to be, but I can't do it. Okay, we are back on the board here, fellas. We're just going to roll through this. We'll pick the 2. We have 2 4th-round picks. We'll pick the 2 4th-rounders. We'll call it a day because once it gets to round 5, good luck picking that one. You can throw a dart at a dartboard. So we'll pull tackle off here. We'll look at edges. We'll bring the tight end.
Andre Carter. Let's talk about Andre Carter for a second because I do like him. He's freaking huge. He's like 6'6". He moves around like a tight end. Super athletic. Like you said, Mike, it seemed like he got lost a little bit here and there, but I feel like that's stuff that could be corrected. Like his just raw athleticism, I can't look past. Maybe it's the same kind of blinder I had on with Kuntz. I don't understand, but what is it that you see about him, Daniel? Like, do you like him at all?
I don't. And when I was watching him at the Senior Bowl, and a lot of it's not his fault. When you're in the Army program, you're not allowed to get over a certain weight. You're not allowed to bench over a certain weight. You can't get as strong as you need to be. He has no point of attack strength at all. He cannot long arm. He cannot do anything in terms of moving a tackle. So if he doesn't beat him with his first step and his hand quickness, which again is still developing, he's not going to win that rep. And at the NFL level, all the tackles are going to be able to outweigh him, out pressure him. And you also have to consider he's not going to be let go from the Army's contract if he's not a first-round pick, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to let him go because that's just kind of how this stuff works. You're in the contract. He's going to be an officer in the Army after he graduates from West Point, I believe, or wherever it is for the Army Academy. And they're not going to just say, yeah, you were like a 4th or 5th-round pick. We're not going to waive your contract, his signature for anything less than a first-round pick, in my opinion. That's just how I see it. I don't think it's a fool's errand for a team to try to develop him, but that's what you're doing. You're hoping that he can develop into something and that the Army releases him, because there's no guarantee that happens.
Right. Cole from How About Those Chiefs says, let's give all the draft picks away for D-Hop right here.
We've already discussed that, Cole. You weren't here at the beginning. We tried that trade. We were denied by the Cardinals. The Cardinals value him that much.
Denied.
We were denied by the Cardinals.
So what are we going to go with here? So are we still looking at edge, though? Is that kind of a consensus on what we need to be looking at here? Because can we just because I, honestly, people probably yell at me for wanting to do this, but can you look at running back?
I actually threw this on the screen.
There's a couple guys I wanted to.
When do we start to look at running back? I don't think we look at running back this early. Let's be honest.
I think Tyjae Spears, I do like him, and
He's
Chris
gone.
Rodriguez, I like him.
Yeah, Tyjae Spears
So Spears is gone. Okay.
Chris Rodriguez is just a slower.
What do they have Spears projected at anyway? Is he projected for second, third round, or?
I'm certain
he's going to go day 2, I think.
Yeah,
think so?
Tyjae Spears is definitely a day 2 guy. I'm circling a guy I really like at linebacker here. Daniel, I know that you like him. You compared him to John Wick. I think you comped him to John Wick.
I did comp him to John Wick.
Is an Ivan Pace something that you could see the Chiefs maybe taking a shot at if he's here in the 4th round? Would he fit the system in your opinion?
No, they can't. I don't think they can put a linebacker on the roster when you're going to have your guys already starting. Like they have 3 now linebackers that they've drafted the last 3 years, and that they can't, in my opinion, put a guy who's going to not only be a backup but has a very specific role in the NFL. He's going to be at best a backup will, and possibly like a QB spy type of role that he can actually develop into. But he's really strong for his size, but he does get caught in the wash a lot. He's more trying to get downhill and get downhill quickly. He doesn't have the natural coverage ability you want to see from a guy who could be like a dime backer. Maybe that could develop with time, but it's a very niche role for him. And the Chiefs have 3 linebackers that they drafted. And don't forget, they did draft a linebacker last year on day 2. That's real investment in Leo Chanel, who, if they're going to only let him be a Sam, that's kind of a wasted pick. He's not playing very much. They don't play base very much. They don't want to play base very much. So what's he going to end up being? They got to find ways to get him on the field. If you draft another linebacker, in my opinion, you're wasting a little bit of a pick that you need elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with that a little bit. I think if we look at linebacker, it's going to be pretty late. It's going to be maybe one of the 6th round picks, that 7th round pick. Who knows? So I think edge is about the spot we got to start looking here. We have Ali Gay on the board. We have KJ Henry on the board, which you mentioned. We've got Jeremiah Martin out of Washington. A lot of people do not know about Jeremiah Martin. I had to fight walkthemuck.com to even have him listed on this board. They didn't even know about him. I was like, you guys are passing. I'm pretty sure he was a team captain for the defense there. Tavius Robinson, Mel Kiper Jr. loves Tavius Robinson. He has him in his top 10 edges. He's a Canadian product, if I'm not mistaken. He's not bad, but once you get past Tavius Robinson, I mean, you're getting down here into the scrubs of the world. Ikena Inachukwu, I'm pretty sure the kid out of Rice we've talked to. Kansas City has talked to him somehow. It was an interview somewhere, I believe. I remember that name because that's a pretty tough name to forget. Who do you like here on the board if we stick with edge? You mentioned KJ Henry early. Is he your guy over at Jeremiah Martin or Tavius Robinson right here?
I like him. I think Fijoko's an option too out of San Jose State.
Yep,
I'm a little bit of a tweener, but I'm partial to Leota a little bit out of Auburn. I got to see him at the Senior Bowl, and he's more of a kind of a guy based off of speed to power, some athletic ability as well. But he was hurt this past year, so no one kind of knew what he was going to be during the draft cycle. And then everyone talked about Derek Hall. I like Leota a lot personally. It's more of a you hope that as a senior who's coming off of an injury, he can get back to the form that he was at. And he's more of a developmental guy too, more of an athletic-based guy with some of the speed to power. So I think in terms of fits, KJ Henry's probably the fit for me. Out of the guys that I've seen, I think he makes the most sense for the Chiefs right now.
Is
I like.
Diaby gone?
Yeah, Diaby's off the board. He was rated higher than Ali Gay, I believe.
Okay.
KJ Henry. You know what really bothers me about Clemson sometimes? I feel like when I'm watching their tape, their players that they get, I think KJ Henry was a 5-star coming out of high school, and he did not develop. Like they cannot develop players at Clemson. I've realized their coaching staff's pretty atrocious at developing high players. Like especially with the defensive tackle coming out this year, he had a lot of problems, Brian Brisset, but.
Yeah,
It's just, dude, it's so much. You look down the board, these are 5-star recruits coming out of high school, and they just, by the end of their college career, they're falling to the 4th and the 5th round. And it's like, Clemson's got to work on that. That coaching staff needs to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
We'll go to KJ Henry right here just to speed this bad boy up. We'll take KJ Henry. I like KJ Henry. You can actually find a nice little video on YouTube of KJ Henry going to a chiropractor and getting all his bones popped. And he let out a little insight on there that he has a lot of knee pain. And I don't know if I like that. And that's probably bad for his draft stock. Maybe you should take that video down. Yeah,
that's a good idea.
There's a little insight for the people watching. KJ might have some knee problems, guys. This will be the last pick, and then we'll let you go, Daniel. We know you got your hands full, bro. I don't want to take you away from your daughter. She's cool. She can come join the thing if she wants. She's
just been picking at me. She's just been picking at me. That's all.
Yeah, if she wants to jump on here and draft with us, let her go. Oh, Steve, I lied to you. Diaby was actually listed. You
did lie to me.
He was listed under defensive line, not edge.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Well,
that's
weird.
Dude,
do we double dip?
No, well, possibly. No. Would you have still taken Henry in that situation, or do you like Yaya Diaby?
I would have taken Yaya.
Yeah, I think so too. I really like him, and I really like Abdullah, the other Louisville guy. He's got.
I love that.
They're so good. Yeah,
they're
so good.
They worked well at Louisville because Yaya's the bigger body guy, and then you have Yasir. I think that was maybe I'm mistaken. And he's the speed guy off the edge with the athletic ability. So I think that the Chiefs need some of that. We'll see if Joe Cullen has more input on that in this process.
Okay, so we either double dip or we go somewhere different. If we're just looking at the big board here, let's just look at the big board. This will be a last pick we take here in round 4. We won't even try round 5. Unless you guys want to do round 5, since we screwed that up. We don't have a round.
We
do. Not taking Diaby. It's fine. We'll live.
Yeah.
Just a placeholder.
Take him anyway.
It's a placeholder. Take him anyway.
Double dip.
We'll just say we took him. We'll just put a little asterisk there. Okay, so in this situation, Dan, you seem to think that running back is out of the question. Even with a Rashawn Johnson or a Sean Tucker sitting on the board right here, do you still think it's out of the question?
I don't think it's out of the question. I just don't like those players. Okay. I'm just not.
Are you a big? We don't talk running backs here because obviously we've got Pacheco, and we have not dug into. There's certain positions we don't get to dig into. Quarterback, running back, you name it. Do you have a running back late in this draft that you really like? Do you like the kid out of Illinois? I think his name's Chase Brown. Do you like him at all?
I don't like him at all either. Him and Sean Tucker remind me a lot of each other. They're guys that are athletic, and if you give them a runway, they're good. They can get downhill and they can run. But if they're asked to read an offensive line or follow a play, they don't know how to do it. And Sean Tucker is notorious for this. He does not read a play out. Even if there is a hole where it's supposed to be, he will see the cutback lane if it's mildly open, and he will try to get to it as fast as he possibly can, working all the way back across the offensive line. It bothers me, and I just can't get over that. I also don't think he's a very good pass catcher, and he's not a good contact bounce back. That stuff bothers me for a guy who's going to be as big as he is. You play smaller than you are. I think Brown's got more contact balance than Tucker does, but he's a little bit more like Roschon Johnson, and Roschon's just this big hulking running back that's going to run you over. And he's got decent vision, and he's really good in pass protection, but I don't see much. I mean, he didn't run a good 40 anyway. He doesn't have much run of breakaway speed, and I personally don't think he's as good as a lot of people that I'm seeing on Twitter thinking he should be a top 5 back in this class. I don't get it myself. No. But there's some running backs that I absolutely like that are here right now, but
yeah, probably a little early, a little rich.
You're a big Tyjae Spears guy, right?
I love Tajay.
Me
what do you think about Devin
awesome.
Achane?
I like I like him. He's in my running back 6. Like he just, I worry about his ability to consistently fall forward. And what that basically is, the contact balance aspect is he gets hit, he goes down. Now he's really, really fast. He reads angles really well, so he can get out of the way. But I don't think he reads angles as well as Jahmyr Gibbs does. And Jahmyr Gibbs is the other really fast, smaller back in this class that reduces angles. The reason he doesn't necessarily need contact balance is because he reduces those hits that are square to arm tackles or to him falling forward instead, because he moves his shoulders out of the way and he can bend himself out of the way of taking those hits, like we've seen Travis Kelce do for years. He gets himself out of the way of taking big hits, and Gibbs does that. I don't think that Achane can do that to this extent in the NFL, and I worry about his pass protection and his ability to consistently read out an offensive line. So I like him, but I don't necessarily think he's quite there yet.
Right. So you mentioned Gibbs. Did I see you and Mike saying that he was very Jamal Charles like on Twitter earlier?
I think he's the closest thing to Jamal Charles that we've seen since Jamal was in.
You're right. Like even his running style is pretty similar. Like I seen it as soon as I turned the tape on. I do like Tyjae Spears. There's another running back that I kind of like late in this draft. Have you watched anything on him? If I say anything about it, I think I've dug into the dankness way too far. But I like a guy. I like a guy named X Valaday out of Arizona State. Have you watched any film on him?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Please do. I want to know what you think, even if it's only one clip or a highlight reel. I want to know what you think about this kid. He used to play at Wyoming. He come down to Arizona State, played this last year, and he absolutely tears it up. Like to me, he reminds me of like a faster. He's a bigger guy. He's kind of like a faster Kareem Hunt, in my opinion, and I think he's being slept on. I can see this guy going in the 6th round or something and just being a beast. But let's get back to the draft here. We could talk about this crap all day, let's be honest. Do you think it's too early for the Chiefs to start looking at corner or anything right here? A lot of people are saying corner. I've seen us being mocked corners in the 2nd round, which I find ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I tell you, if they draft a corner in the first 2 days, that means something is going on with the contract of the Jerry Sneed that we're not going to be happy about. That's my opinion on it, but I don't think it happens personally. I'm still in for double dipping at wide receiver.
Okay,
I think they desperately need it.
Let's go look. Yeah, I'm with you.
Who do you like receiver wise? 3rd, 4th round, something like that. Do you think Trey Palmer might fall to the 3rd?
He actually just got picked in our right here.
I think I have him as a 4th round player. I think he goes on in the 3rd round, but he's 6 foot. He's a little bit stockier than some of these smaller guys that comes out. He's really, really fast, and I think he understands angles really well. He's not the best route runner yet because he doesn't necessarily. I don't know, sweetie. I don't know why she's stuck. But in terms of reading defenses when he's running his routes, he doesn't really know how to do that yet. But I think landing in Kansas City makes a lot of sense. The problem that I keep falling into with drafting receivers, we took Jordan Addison in this draft. He's 5'11". You draft another 6 foot guy. You've got Kadarius Toney, who's just 6 foot. You have Sky Moore, who's like what, 5'10", 5'9" ish.
Right.
You're getting smaller, and I have no issues with that. I think the NFL is changing in terms of what wide receivers are going to be able to do and consistently live in the NFL. Yes, I see, sweetie. So I'm okay with it. It's more of I don't know if the Chiefs want to go that route. I think they still want to get a little bit of size and have some of that consistently to deal with. Because, Juju was 6 foot, but he was stocky 6 foot. So it was a little bit different than I think a Trey Palmer is.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we have to get that. We have to get somebody that resembles that X receiver. We got to get a bigger guy that can help move the chain, somebody that Mahomes feels comfortable throwing it up to. If I look at the board right now, you got Bryce Ford Wheaton out of West Virginia. I'm not the hugest fan of him, let's be honest. Xavier Hutchinson, Iowa State. It doesn't exist after a few receivers come off the board. It gets really slim pickings for that. Jake Bobo was a guy that people talked about early in the draft process, and that kid's fell off.
He's a big slot. I mean,
Kayshon Boutte. Like, I remember when he was supposed to be the best player in the country a year ago, and then he come back for his senior year or something. And
he's a bomb, though. I think he's just lazy and don't care is his problem. Like, I get that vibe from him. Like, he don't put a lot of effort in.
A lot of people, Yeah, a lot of people want us to look at Malik Knowles. I'm guessing it's K-State. 6'3", 200. I mean, he's got the size. I don't think Malik Knowles is going to be, maybe round 7. Somebody takes a shot at him.
Maybe.
What do you
Puka's
think?
on the board.
Yeah. Puka Nacua is a guy everybody throws around. They've been throwing this around for weeks and weeks. He's big for some reason. People love Puka Nacua. I don't know. Let's be honest.
He's a good player.
He's good. I think Do you think 4th round pick's a little rich? I think it's very rich.
I don't think it's like too rich, but like he's going to be one of those guys that sticks in the NFL for forever. He's never going to be anything more than like a wide receiver 3 on a team, but he's always going to consistently find a way to move the chains. He'll make a splash play down the field with contested catches every now and then, and he's a reliable guy. Like that's valuable for a team. It really is.
He kind of reminded me a little bit, and not the way like they play or anything, but like the way I seen him fitting on this team was like the Kemp row, like maybe the special teamer.
Maybe I see him more as like a peak Adam Thielen, but a bit slower. Like in terms of what he could be, he's a good route runner, but he's not gonna like juke anybody out. He was just always open. Like Adam Thielen was just always open. He just scored touchdowns. I think Puka Nacua could be that type of a player. I wonder about his athletic ability against and getting open against press. I don't think he can do it.
Right. So do you see anybody on this wide receiver board you'd want to look at, or no?
Wicks is an interesting player. He's 6'2", 208 pounds, something like that. So he's a guy who's got some athletic ability as well. I don't have a ton of film on him, so I haven't seen everything, but he's an option, I think, in the 4th round. But size-wise, I mean, there's not really a ton here that's doing it for me. Andre Yoshibush is a guy that I really like, but again, he's a 5th-year or a senior out of Princeton. And he just talked about not knowing how to play one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl because Princeton never did it. Like he's a really athletic guy, and you're just hoping that he can develop a little bit as a true receiver. Again, he's 6'3", 200. So I mean, there's the size there. I'm all in on it. I love the guy personally. I personally love him, but that's my own opinion. Yeah. In terms of like right now value, I think that wide receivers is kind of like, it's okay.
I hear you. Our dad loves the draft, and he likes this kid out of Princeton like big time. I was like, I wouldn't get my hopes up there. Datavion Wicks, I only got to watch, good Lord, maybe like a half of a game on all 22 film, and from what I've seen, this kid was never open. Like he has to be good at contested catches because he couldn't. Nothing. Like he was just. It looked like he was running with like an anchor in his jersey or something. So, I don't think the value's here at wide receiver. So if we just go back to the big board, make this last pick here. Good night. We know that the running backs. This is not a good board to fall. I would almost be tempted to take Ivan Pace here, to be honest. Zach Harrison, is that somebody? Ivan Pace is still on the board. Can you believe? I would take him right here. Have you watched any film on Zach Harrison?
Yeah, and I think this is a value for him in this because I think he's going to go higher than this. You think he's going to be a 3rd round pick? I think 4th round is a little late for him, but he's a Spags guy. Really big, really long, and he can physically outmuscle everyone. But if you ask him to do anything agility wise, he's just not getting it done.
And that's weird because NFL.com said he was the 1st ranked athleticism scorer at the combine, and I don't know. To me, he didn't play with a lot of fire. Like you watch him, and it's like this guy doesn't even look like he really cares to be here.
That's the thing. Like I don't get the tape. The tape does not match the athletic testing, and that's why that's why we watch. But
hey, as well as we do, that's what the Chiefs do. They'll go and they'll find the raw talent and they'll extract it out of them. And So do you guys want to double dip at edge? And we still have Yaya Diaby on the board. So we'll double dip either Harrison or Diaby. Which one y'all want to go with?
I'm all in on Diaby.
I'll go with Diaby as well.
You guys are a bunch of Yaya Diaby homers around here. Bro.
I'm all Yaya for Diaby, man.
Hey, we're Kentucky fans. We can't like love Louisville players so much. It doesn't.
It's funny. It is funny because normally it's just you automatically kind of dislike those guys, but I really do like Diaby and Abdullah. I think they're fantastic players.
Okay,
and they
guys.
sucked. Louisville sucked this year, so
pretty bad.
They turned it on towards the end of the year. They blew somebody out there towards the end of the year. Let's see. So I'll recap it. We had Jordan Addison in the first round, pick 31. Second round, Keanu Benton, defensive lineman for Wisconsin. The Chiefs have actually met with Keanu Benton. They like him. Warren McClendon, tackle from Georgia in the third round. Dan said he could definitely play right tackle. He could probably step in and do it today. So I'm down with that. And then we double dipped in the fourth round with some edge rushers, KJ Henry, Yaya Diaby, and technically Diaby should have been the number 20 pick, which means Henry might not have been there, but I'll think he is. So we'll switch those two back and forth. Dan, why do you grade this draft? If you had to grade it, let's be completely honest, not because we're a bunch of idiots that got on here and picked a really horrible draft, but what do you rate this draft on, like an A to F scale?
Yeah, it's a B for me. And again, that's mostly because you're taking Jordan Addison in the first round. And while I like Addison, I don't know if that's going to be a value pick for the Chiefs. I think Keanu Benton at 63 is huge value. I think he's going to go before that. Personally, I think he might go early day 2, like early in the second round. And then you get the two defensive ends that you're hoping to kind of be your second defensive end with Warren McClendon, who's going to end up starting at right tackle if Niang can't actually go. So it's a good draft. I think there was probably some things we could have done a little bit better, but that's why we do mocks, just because it's fun.
Yeah.
So I've noticed something though. So you guys at RGR do not like any of the receivers in the first round, but both mocks that we've done with you guys, we end up with a receiver in the first round.
It tells you, like, I think that the way that this, I haven't never used this, walk the mock before. So I think that when you use different mock draft simulators, they have different values for different receivers and different classes and things like that in different positions. So typically when we're using the PFF one, because it was the most updated one up until now, Pro Football Network now has theirs that's coming out updated 2 weeks before the draft. I mean, come on, y'all. Get your stuff together. We got lots of stuff to fit in here, so it's trying to get all of that matched in. And when you have different sites with different values and different grades, it comes out a little bit differently. So I just think that the value at tackle and defensive end was gone. We kind of saw that at the end of the first round in this one, so it made a little bit more sense for the Chiefs in this scenario to take a Jordan Addison at 31, because again, it's essentially a second round pick anyway. So, and I think that fits right with Jordan Addison.
Yeah, I totally think that wide receiver is it's being hyped up more by people looking at the draft than what NFL scouts are actually looking at wide receivers. I believe the first wide receiver might not come off the board to the early 20s possibly. Like, I just don't feel like it's a good class, to be honest. I'm with you. I feel like Keanu Benton is great value right there. I think he's probably a mid day 2 pick at worst. Mm-hmm. And then Henry and Diaby. I mean, I would grade this a solid. I think it's a B. I'd give it a B. I think where we missed the mark is the if you do not have a chance to get that tackle early on, man, you are in trouble with this draft. I believe it's one of those top 3 or 4, and then even Darnell Wright. Let's be honest, people like Darnell Wright, but if you put on his film and go back to the year he played left tackle, that dude had a holding problem, and that may be because he just can't play left tackle. And so it's one of those things. So it's like, he's going to be your right side guy. Is he perfect? No, I don't think he's a perfect right tackle by any means, but he is strong. I know you guys like the kid out of Oklahoma, right? Harrison, I think his name.
I like Anton. He's more of a left tackle though. So if you're taking him, that means Taylor goes to right.
Right. Do you think Anton Harrison gets slipped into the first round?
I mean, he did in this mock, all right? Like he went in the first round in this mock, yeah.
I think he actually went 21st. He went 21st.
Like I think that's more than typically, especially if we're considering receiver to not be so strong in the NFL season that way. Tackles are getting pushed up, and we talked about defensive ends getting pushed up. Those are the 2 positions that are going to start being taken more seriously and by some of these guys in the end of the first round, because the value of wide receiver is not there, so they have to find it somewhere else. And I think while Harrison's probably more of an early second round value, that's going to bump up to a first round draft pick come draft night.
So are you comfortable with the Chiefs sitting at 31, taking Anton Harrison, playing him at left, and then paying the right tackle $80 million?
Yes, I am.
You're comfortable?
I absolutely am. You protect Patrick Mahomes, doesn't matter what cost.
does that then in turn make the Veach signing a little not as good as we thought initially?
No, again, in today's NFL, right tackle and left tackle in terms of paying them, if you're you're seeing a lot of the same athletic guys anyway. Last year against the Raiders, you see Max Crosby lined up against the right tackle a bunch anyway. He's the best pass rusher on that team. So you're seeing more of the better pass rushers play left, play against the right. So it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. The best tackle on the team is getting paid at one way or the other. So I got no problem with it.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, man, I like it. We appreciate you coming on, dude, for real.
Yeah.
It's been great. You'll have to come back after the draft. We'll analyze what they really do, and we'll compare it to our double dip of Diaby in the 4th round.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Okay, brother. We appreciate you. You be safe, and have a good one, man.
You too, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Take care, bud.
No problem, brother. You guys go follow Daniel Harms on Twitter, watch RGR, do all that good stuff, and let him know that you appreciate him in the chat.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one, man.
Later.
You too.
Nice. So what do you grade it, man? He gave it a B. What are you grading this mock here?
I'll give it a B. I think it's a B to a B minus, actually, and it's for the same reasons he said. Jordan Addison, if you would have told us this two months ago that you were going to get Jordan Addison at 31, everybody would have said you were crazy. That just shows you how the draft boards will play out closer to the draft. The wide receiver is diminishing. Jordan Addison is he's very scheme dependent, in my opinion, but he does have an upside of, again, a Stephon Diggs. I think you take him right here, and I like the pick at 31, but it's because it's essentially a 2nd round pick. Keanu Benton's fine, but when you pass up on tackle, and the best one you can get is now Warren McClendon. Warren McClendon is serviceable, but now you've got a serviceable right tackle that's a rookie. Now you've got a guy that's never played left tackle, going to have to go play left tackle. And to me, I don't feel like your offensive line gets locked down in the first season as much as we need it to be.
That way, yeah.
And then double dipping in the 4th round with KJ Henry and Diaby, that's fine with me. Neither one of those guys, I believe, are ever going to develop into a pass rusher 1 in this league. And George Karlaftis, I don't think, is going to be a pass rusher 1 in this league as well. I think he's a good secondary guy to a Frank Clark or somebody like that. But I just don't see him ever being that for sure double-digit sack guy every single year. But I do love Karlaftis. I love his motor. I just feel like these guys are probably a downgrade from even Karlaftis. So, I'd give it a B minus to a C. What do you give it?
I'm going to go with the B minus probably. I just don't like taking receiver in the 1st round of this draft. I'm kind of with the, there's a trend going on. People saying that there's no wide receivers worth a 1st round pick in this draft. And I kind of agree with it. I don't find that wrong. Like, none of them really jump off the page of me. Like, I think Quentin Johnston's probably the most put together as far as he can maybe be an X in this league eventually. But I don't know, man. I would not spend a 1st round pick on him myself. Addison, I do like Addison. He has a knack for getting open, but he's got a lot to work on with route running and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a crapshoot with the receivers to me. So I feel like you would be better off grabbing, either trading up and getting a really solid offensive lineman, or sitting and taking a defensive end in the 1st round, try to get Felix or somebody like that.
Right. K Calhoun says if we miss an offensive lineman early, we need to grab Steen, Daniels, and Warren. Me and Steve like Tyler Steen here. He's a little bit older, but we both thought he held up well in the games at the end of the year, the All-Star games. I don't remember which one he was in. Yeah, I think he was in the Senior Bowl. He actually held his own pretty well. He looked a lot better than Blake Freeland when we went back and watched the tape. I wasn't too big on him. I thought he was more of a project, but to be honest, he's a nice swing tackle. If you could get him in the 3rd or 4th round, I would be fine with it. Carter Warnow, Pittsburgh, is another guy I kind of like too. He's got a lot of injuries there. That was his big knock at Pittsburgh. He missed a lot of his senior year. Scott Crosser says, I'm out on a 1st round wide receiver. Yeah. Steve, I think Steve agrees with you, and I agree with you. I don't really like 1st round value here.
I don't. I think, like I said, I just don't see it. So, yeah, definitely with Scott on that one.
A lot of people's wanting to trade up for Quentin Johnston. Again, I think Quentin Johnston may be the only 1st round wide receiver that could pay off in the long run, but Quentin Johnston's got his own set of problems. Let's be honest. Let's see.
And there's just a lot of people wanting to, it's just that thing where everybody wants the wide receiver. They want the flashy pick. Everyone's kind of a little bit upset that there was no move made for OBJ, which I'm not saying everybody, because there's a lot of people like us that don't think we should have, but there are a lot that wanted him. There's a lot of people that wanted to trade for D-Hop. They want to go get this big name wide receiver. And then if you can't, they want to draft a wide receiver early in the draft because they think that there's a hole there. But I think that they're just going to have to, accept the fact that Andy Reid seems to think that he's going to plug in Sky Moore at what Juju was doing last year. They're going to put a more workload on Kadarius Toney this year. I think they're expecting more out of him. And I think that MVS could have a bigger year this year than he did last year, because I saw flashes where he could have been really good, but there just wasn't the connection with Mahomes. If he could start high pointing the ball and getting after the ball, MVS, I mean, sky's the limit for him. So I don't think that they're that worried about receiver like the fans are.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's take a break from draft talk, Steve, because draft talk, let's talk a little bit to these guys. We want to know you guys a little bit more personally. In the chat right now, if you're watching, leave us a comment. Let us know where you're watching us from. Me and Steve made a bet that we could not get all 50 states in the chat, and I feel like we're just gonna get a lot of Missouris and Kansas. What do you think, Steve?
Oh, for sure. We're probably I think Casey DC, if he's still in the chat, he's a Kentucky guy as well. But I mean, we're in Kentucky, so a little odd. But yeah, I'd say the majority is probably going to be Missouri if I had to guess. So I bet you're probably wondering how Kentucky guys are Chiefs fans. You can thank our pops for that one. It was in the genes, man. It's genetics. We adopted it. So just hardcore Chiefs fans here. Missouri Tech. Oh, Brent, you're in Texas, Arizona.
We have an Arizona on the board. We've got a Texas on the board. 2 Missouris, as we would suspect. 2 Missouris. Kansas is getting outdone right now by Arizona. Never would have thought it. Nope.
Well, here I want to go back to Brent from Texas, and I want to ask you, in the barbecue wars here, since you're from Texas and you like Kansas City, I'm assuming you've been to Kansas City and you had that as well. Put in the comments which barbecue is better. And then you're going to get trounced if you don't pick the right one.
Yeah, they're going to come for you. Mark from Kansas. K. Calhoun is also from Atchison, Kansas. Doug, Kansas City, Kansas. You guys are mind readers. South Missouri, your dad raised you right, Scott Crosser. You know what, Scott? He did. He got us into the Chiefs early. Dude, I can remember being a child. We didn't have direct TV where we could get on and watch games. We lived in Kentucky. This was way early. Like, we didn't have money to travel back and forth to KC. Didn't get to go to Arrowhead until I was 20 years old. I graduated high school, went the first time. We would sit around listening to games when we could on a computer in the kitchen on a dial-up internet connection, listening to like Mitch Holthus and we had to watch the Bengals and the Colts every weekend. That's all they'd show on the local networks. And then luckily they would be getting trounced, and then they would switch over to a Chief game at the end of it and watch us beating the Raiders there at the end. So, dude, it was tough growing up in the 90s, not being from Kansas City, being Chief fans, but that's how diehard we are, man. It's pretty crazy. We've been here since the long haul.
Brent says he hates to admit it, but KC easy. Brent, I think everyone agrees with you. What's your favorite KC barbecue? All y'all throw that in the comments. I just gotta get a feel for it, because I mean, everybody has words about this. I think Cole, how about those Chiefs? You're really, really big on Gates. I feel like that's more for the authentic experience that you get at Gates or like an Arthur Bryant's. But I mean, let's be honest here. Jack Stack Q39, they're going to be the best.
Brenda, KC Mo. Brenda, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. If you have been here, I'm sorry I missed you. It's chaotic. People's like, you missed my comments. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going through this walk the mock draft. I'm looking back and forth. I'm trying to talk to Daniel. It's chaos, dude. Like, trying to run these lives sometimes. So if we miss you, we are sorry. We will eventually see you. Omar says Texas beef brisket and KC burnt ends are king. I want to go to Texas, Steve. I want to go to Texas. I want to hit up Austin. I want to check out the city. I want to eat the barbecue, and I want to put it to the taste test myself. So I think me and you should make a road trip to Austin one weekend, man. We'll write it off as a taxable income. Why not? Like, we're traveling.
Expense.
It's a business expense. We're going to test out barbecue. It's a business.
Why not?
Thanks, Brenda. We appreciate it. Florida KC Chiefs fan. If I'm not mistaken, he's probably going to be from Florida. So that's one on the board from Florida. Nice. Brent says Q39 is fire. To me, that's me and Steve's go-to every time we're in KC. It's always Q39. We'll hit up Jack Stack. Last time we were there for the Super Bowl championship parade, we actually hit up Jack Stack. We got in the city probably pretty late. It was about 9:00, and we walked into a Jack Stack over by the plaza, and didn't even know that Jack Stack was there. Like we just seen it, was like, dude, let's hit up Jack Stack. And they actually couldn't seat us, so we just had to sit at the bar. And luckily this couple come in, they let us sit down, and then they were going to go sit in the corner with just 2 seats, and some dudes cut them off. So then we felt bad. We were like, we're going to get up and let these people sit back down. But then a true hero standing at the bar with all blonde spiked hair, drinking a old fashioned, he come through for him. And
I'm pretty sure it was a band member of Sugar Ray.
Yeah,
like
the lead singer of Sugar Ray was there, and he was eating barbecue, man. It was awesome. Casey Calhoun says he's been a fan since childhood. Remember being 13 years old, crying the summer of '83 when Chiefs Delaney died rescue Johnny. Man, Delaney was an awesome dude. Like reading all the stuff about Joe Delaney, he was awesome. I don't remember that. In 1983, I was just out of the womb. I was probably like 3 weeks old at that point. So I just know what I've read about him, that he was a pretty cool dude, and he would have been great if that tragedy wouldn't have happened. But you know, if you go out saving some kids, you know, some things are bigger than football. Some things are bigger than football.
Very cool. Let's see.
Oh man. Oh, my bad, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah, Doug. Dang, I feel old. Been a Chiefs fan for 40 years, and I'm 53. Go Chiefs Kingdom. Hey, Doug. You know, old's not a thing, right? Like, age doesn't matter. It's all in the mindset. And I'm just saying that because I'm 38, pushing 40, so I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to convince myself of that. But yeah, I was kind of the late bloomer in the family. Like, I just didn't really watch football up until probably early 20s, I guess, is when I really dug in. So I've been hardcore with the Chiefs, joined along with Pops and Mike about probably 21 or so. So I'm looking at a good 16 years here. I've seen the lows and the highs, and it's been a good time, man. I mean, good community. Chiefs Kingdom's awesome. Like all the people. There's some crazy ones, of course. You know, the notorious Chiefsaholic and then people like that. But I mean, that's with every fan base. But for the most part, every time we visit KC, though, everybody's super nice. It's just good people.
Florida KC Chiefs fan, are you guys happy with the wide receivers on the roster now? I'm guessing currently. It's a room. It's a wide receiver room. I'll give you that. Could it be better? Yeah, it could always be better. We're under the notion that Patrick Mahomes, he does not per se need a big receiver like Hopkins. He doesn't do it. He didn't need OBJ. He's proven it time and time again. He didn't need Tyreek Hill. Let's be honest. But is it nice to have those guys? Yeah. And I think it makes his job a little easier. It makes it on a day-to-day, throw-to-throw basis a little easier for him. And you don't want Patrick, even though he can do it, you don't want him wearing himself out so early in his career that he fizzles out a little earlier than he should. I think you should always be looking to help this guy out. He took a nice team-friendly deal to do that, and we should be looking for it. And it's easy to say cheap and don't spend the money and don't do this and draft, but look back at the history of all the wide receivers ever taken in the draft, and it's a very small percentage of how many actually pans out. It's not very often you hit Justin Jefferson in round 1.
Right, no kidding. Slim says, not a Chief fan, but Dalton Kincaid to Kansas City with Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, Rookie of the Year. Can line up out wide in the slot, backfield, weapon. Dude, I'm not going to disagree with him. I think Dalton Kincaid would be nasty in a Chiefs offense. I know, like, Daniel wasn't a big fan. Daniel Harms, who we had in earlier doing the mock draft, if you weren't here. He's not a big fan. He don't like the fact that he doesn't offer much as blocking, and says he doesn't really know the position that well. But, I mean, super athletic, a pass catcher. I like Dalton Kincaid. I like the idea of getting maybe a successor to Travis Kelce. Somebody take some off of him because, I mean, as much as we love the guy, he's put so much into this team, and he's not getting any younger. And we're going to have to start taking a little bit of workload off of him for sure.
Yep. K. Calhoun totally agrees. If Kincaid falls to 31, the Chiefs will indeed grab him. Best believe. Hey,
they have interviewed him.
We've interviewed Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, he was a top 30 visit, I believe.
Yeah. They like him. I like him. I think he's right under Michael Mayer for me. I like him. I think he's worthy of a late first-round pick. Daniel said he didn't think he was worthy of a first-round pick. I think he's worthy of a first. I'd give it up at 31. Why not? That's basically a second-round pick anyway. Stephen James, the $20 super chat. Thanks, brother. We appreciate that for real.
Bomb.
Great show, fellas. BB's Lawnside Barbecue and Sneed's Barbecue. They got excellent burn-ins. You know, that's two places me and Steve have never been. And because you have donated us $20, we're putting that on the list for sure.
Well, I've heard good things about BB's for sure. We almost went there. We tried to go to LC's one time and it was too packed and we just didn't have the time. But yeah, we're always looking for new places to try out when we're down there, because we hit up, obviously there's a couple we hit up every time just about, because we don't go very often, but we always try something new. So we'll definitely have them on the list for sure, man. And we appreciate the donation, dude. Anybody that feels the need to do that, go for it. It all goes right back into the content here. So that's what we do with it. Also, you can support the channel by just liking, hitting the like button, commenting, sharing it with your friends. We do have merchandise. You can go check out our merch page here on YouTube. Buy a hoodie or something, get something in return. So yeah, we appreciate that, man, a lot.
Yep. $20 in this day and age, man. Inflation, that's worth that's almost like $100, Steven. We appreciate it, buddy. Casey Calhoun, because of blocking, but not what we would be drafting him for. Yeah, I'm guessing we're still talking about Dalton Kincaid here. Yeah, dude. So, Steve, have you ate anything today? I'm starting to get a little munchy, man. It's been a long day. We've been working hard preparing for Daniel Harms.
Actually. I ate 2 eggs. That's it. That's all I've had today. And that's just because I was cooking the kids some, and I was like, I'm going to make myself a couple. That's it. I don't know what I'm going to do for dinner. I ate Mexican yesterday, but I want to eat Mexican again today because I can eat it every day of my life.
I hear you. It's 8:30. You want to meet me in a Mexican restaurant here in about 30?
Might do it. What we got here? Calhoun. You can find good wide receiver pass catchers much easier than you can a dynamic tight end receiving weapon. I don't disagree with that. And I was a huge advocate last season. Mike can attest for this. I really wanted the Chiefs to grab Greg Dulcich. I loved him. I thought he was very Travis Kelce-esque. I just liked everything about the guy, and I thought, man, let's grab Greg Dulcich and go ahead and get somebody behind Kelce. And of course, he ended up going to the Donkeys. Of all teams, that's who drafted him, and he killed it. And on a sinking ship with Russell Wilson, let's ride. He still managed to stand out on that team and be their biggest weapon. I mean, so I think people overlook the tight end position a little bit too much in drafts and things like that. When there's guys out there that can make a difference, like Greg Dulcich did his rookie year, and he's going to continue to do, I think you can't overlook it just because it's tight end and it's just not the sexy position to pick in the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. I want to ask you guys though, Steve, I'm going to ask you, I don't even think I've asked you this. The draft is coming up pretty soon. Barring need, let's take need out of it. Just say you have a team from scratch. You have 0 players. You're a brand new team in the league. You're the Kentucky Stevens, and you're getting ready to pick a team. Who's your favorite player in this entire draft? Like, if you had no draft needs and you just had to take one guy that you think is going to be it, who's your guy? And I have a good feeling who you're going to take.
I mean, honestly, if you put it in that perspective, I don't really know. Like, if you have to start with somebody, you got to start with a solid quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league now. I mean, you have to have one. So if it's nobody and I'm starting my team, you're going to look at one of the quarterbacks. I think Anthony Richardson has the highest upside as a quarterback. I think Will Levis is right there with him. He does have a high upside, but they both have bust potential, both of them. They could both be a huge flop. So I don't know if you'd go there. If you're starting from scratch, you got to go with probably Young, more than likely, just to be safe. But I mean, if it's for me picking for the Chiefs, just my guy, like who I could place on the Chiefs right now, I'd go Javon Dexter in the second round. I've been pretty vocal about that. I think if he's there in the second round when we're picking, it would be foolish not to take him. I know a lot of people like Keanu Benton, and I mean, I like Calijah Kancey as well, but we're not going to get our hands on him. If he were to fall to 31 and we don't take him, I'd be a little upset that we passed up that value. But Javon Dexter, man, he's Chris Jones made over. Go watch his tape, guys. Just go type in Javon Dexter highlights here on YouTube and check that dude out. It really does bring Chris Jones to mind. And it's just the thought of, obviously, he's probably not going to be a Chris Jones because Chris Jones is pretty much one of one. You got like Chris Jones, you got Aaron Donald, you got some guys that can dominate like that. But I mean, if he could though, just imagine 2 Chris Jones beside each other. just imagine Chris Jones learning from Chris Jones.
It's pretty crazy, actually. I think Javon Dexter's a good pick. If I was going to start a franchise, I don't think I'd take any of these quarterbacks. I think I would take Bijan Robinson. I don't know.
That guy's a monster.
That's not sexy to say a running back in this day and age, but I want to know your guys' opinion. If Bijan Robinson was to fall to 31, would you guys consider pulling the trigger and taking him with a 5th-year option, or are you guys still like traumatized over Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Let me know what you think about that, because that's an interesting topic.
I'm traumatized about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That was the terrible draft pick, one of Brett Veach's worst, right? Probably, let's say, worst draft pick ever for Veach. Not because of the player and because he's bad, but McCole Hardman, because you passed up DK Metcalf. We wouldn't be talking about wide receiver ones right now if you had just drafted the big, obvious guy, like saying, hey, draft me. I can be a wide receiver 1 in the league. I'm a monster. I'm 1 of 1. Get me. No, we're going to take McCole Hardman. That's the biggest draft blunder. But Clyde comes in right behind that for me. He's right there with Breland Speaks as far as bad Brett Veach picks. So I'm a little traumatized by that. But I think if Bijan Robinson falls all the way to us at 31, it's just off pure value, man. Like, I feel like you can't – the Chiefs aren't in a position where they can get pigeonholed on one position. Like, they need quite a few different positions. And it looks like to me that they're going to end up probably going with, best player available at what they want. So, I mean, if Bijan's there, you have to take him the same way I said earlier with Calijah Kancey. If Calijah Kancey falls all the way to 31, get him, put him beside Chris Jones, and let's wreak some havoc on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of passing up great value. I don't like it. So I think if Bijan's there, pull the trigger, man. Who cares? Get what you were going to get in the second round. It's whatever.
I hear you. Look, I wanted to bring this up for everybody. Steve was talking about Javon Dexter, remind him of Chris Jones. I brought up the RAS, Relative Athletic Score. This is where a lot of teams look for this. It takes a lot of factors in: height, weight, bench press, 40-yard dash, 20-yard split, 10-yard split, your vertical jump, your broad jump, your shuttle, your 3-cone. There's so much information that goes into this. At MathBomb on Twitter does a great job of this. Chris Jones, coming out of college, Mississippi State in 2016, was an 8.74. Now, can you guys imagine how athletic Chris Jones is right now? And they had him at an 8.74 coming out. So Javon Dexter at a 9.21. Can you just imagine how athletic Javon Dexter is, or what his potential is, Steve? Like, it's pretty incredible, to be honest, when you think about it. This dude is, he's the same height. He's the same exact weight. He benches a little less than Chris Jones, not a big deal, but his 40-yard sprint is 0.2 seconds faster. He's got a faster 20-yard split. He's got a pretty identical 10-yard split. He's got a 7-inch taller, higher vertical, and a longer broad jump by a foot. His 3-cone drill is quicker, which means in space, Javon Dexter is faster in space and to get to the quarterback. So it's pretty incredible that Javon Dexter's not being talked about a little higher than he is. Steve thinks he should be a second-round pick. A lot of analysts have him falling away to the 3rd or maybe early 4th. And to be honest, it's weird. We think Javon Dexter on film, again, looks just like Chris Jones. If you could pair him with Chris Jones, could you imagine putting Javon Dexter, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and like Mike Dana on the exact same defensive line and just letting them eat? Or like Turk Wharton, or, I mean, you name it. This would be an insane defensive line.
Well, I mean, they might draft an edge rusher too. So, I mean, just add that to the mix. If they were to get like a Felix in the first round, like our actual mock draft 1.0, what we think the Chiefs are actually going to take, we actually mocked round 1, Felix Anudike-Uzomah at edge, and then round 2, Javon Dexter at defensive tackle. Dude, I would be ecstatic with that if they do that. And I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility either, I don't believe. Let's look at some comments here. Calhoun says, anxious to see how his career unfolds in Denver. Sean Payton will help him immensely. I think you're talking about Greg Dulcich, and you're exactly right. I mean, Sean Payton is going to make that team better. Is he going to make Denver relevant again? Probably not anytime soon. I just don't see it. But I think they will get better with Sean Payton. I mean, he's a good coach. Why wouldn't they? Scott Crosser, he says, I was a fan of drafting Greg too. Some really good ones in this draft, but I like Bushman and Blanton. If we picked a tight end, he would have to be better than them. Scott, you're right. I like Bushman and Blanton as well, but I just don't feel like they're ever going to be what a Greg Dulcich is going to be. Like, I don't see it. Dalton Kincaid could come in. He's going to be, it's just a different tier of athlete to me. Like, I feel like if we go grab a guy like Dalton Kincaid or Michael Mayer even, or somebody like that, I mean, I feel like it's a whole different ball game than, say, Bushman.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm trying to bring up RAS score, Steve, on Calijah Kancey. Again, if you guys were here yesterday and watched our Calijah Kancey interview, he was actually on the show. He was a cool dude to talk to. Like, straight up, we loved Calijah Kancey. He was awesome. I feel like we're going to be following him, throughout his career, because he was so cool to come on the show. It's not often you can get a channel like us. We've only been around for a year. We just now hit 8,000 subs.
Right.
But you guys have been awesome, and it takes word of mouth. It takes a whole community to build a community, and that's why we appreciate you guys, like, just watching and talking and interacting with us and donating money and this and that. Like, it's incredible. And there's a lot of, I honestly believe, from top to bottom, Chiefs football and Chiefs Kingdom is represented on YouTube better than any other sports team there is. Between us and How About Those Chiefs and RGR and Chief Concerns and you name it, there is some good content. KC Sports Network. They're everywhere. And if you go look up any other channel, any other team's, YouTube presence, it's non-existent. But the Chiefs have quality people across the board. And so it's hard for anyone to stick out. It's hard for anybody to pick favorites over the other. And so it's one of those things where we've all decided to just share the wealth here. And that's why we all do, we'll get each other on each other's shows. We bring in Daniel Harms, different things. It's just stuff we like to do, and we just appreciate it, though. But if you haven't got to watch Calijah Kancey, please go back and watch that. Steve condensed the version down. There's just a standalone video now. You don't have to watch the whole hour and a half live stream. You can just watch the Kancey.
I made it easy. For you.
And it's awesome,
quick,
dude.
To the point. Yeah.
Yeah. We definitely recommend going and doing that as soon as this is over if you haven't watched it and taking a look.
Yeah, he impressed me. He really did. Slim Kincaid is one of the best route runners coming out of tight end or wide receiver. This guy really is a tight end / wide receiver. His basketball background just shows nimble feet and can get skinny in short areas. Yeah, I see that too. We have a guy slightly like that with Jody Fortson. Of course, once again, it's a different tier. I feel like Dalton Kincaid is obviously in a different level there, but yeah, those kind of guys, man. Those are the kind of guys that can, produce in this league. I mean, you looked at Darren Waller. If Darren Waller could have stayed healthy, he fit that bill. And then Kelsey fits that bill. Heck, you can even go all the way back to Tony G. Tony G being an ex-basketball player, man. I mean, those kind of guys, those athletic guys that can be pass catchers, they're invaluable. I mean, I'm all for tight end being able to block, like George Kittle or whoever you want to talk about when that situation comes up. But when someone says George Kittle is a better tight end than Travis Kelce because George Kittle can block better than Travis Kelce, I'm just going to laugh at you because that's just ridiculous. I mean, it's not even comparable. Travis Kelce is the best in the league, hands down. There's no argument. I don't know why people try to argue it, but yeah, man, Slam, you're right. I do like Dalton Kincaid. I like all the athleticism he brings as a pass catcher for sure.
Yeah, Steve, I'm bringing up on the screen right now the RAS scores of Calijah Kancey versus Chris Jones. And look at this one. Calijah Kancey is super athletic, a 9.6. The highest you can get on this thing is like a 10. The only thing that
he's size, man.
It's
his size.
Yeah, 6'1", 281 is just too small. But this dude stands up on the edge. He can rush the pass rusher from the edge position, a 5 or 7 technique. And just the fact that he runs a 4.6 40-yard split and his 10-yard split's a 1.58, that is insanity, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm kind of with Calijah. I know Calijah has to say what he's going to say because he's talking about himself, right? But I'm with him. I don't think size is that big of a deal. I mean, granted, like Daniel said, not everybody can be an Aaron Donald. Like not everybody too small can come in and wreck the league. But at the same time, you've seen it done. I mean, Aaron Donald did it. I'm not saying that Calijah Kancey is going to be as great as Aaron Donald is, but the possibility's there. I don't doubt that just because of his size. If you watch his tape, Calijah is a beast. He's super explosive. He can bull rush the heck out of you. He's stronger than most everybody. That's what I can't understand. They're always like, the tackles are going to take care of him too easy because he's too small. No, they're not. He's got the leverage and he's got the power. And I don't know, man. I just really like Kancey. And I think that some people are sleeping on him a little bit just because of size, and that's
Well,
it.
a lot of your defensive linemen, they're not to go shoot gaps and go take down running backs in the backfield a lot. They're to eat space, and they're to absorb double teams and allow your linebackers to work. So
Right.
he eats space with the best of them. He's a little guy, but he can definitely shoot the gap and make the splash play. But I think Cancey's fine. I think he's a matchup nightmare. We all know Spags likes to throw defensive ends inside to defensive, the interior, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Chris Jones lines up on the outside. Why can't Cancey at 6 foot 280 do it? That's Spags' prototypical defensive end size. So why don't you take him? You can let him play defensive end in pass rush situations. He's going to get after the quarterback. Doug says Veach has got a lot better at the draft, so for him, they will always take now great value for any position. Just my opinion. Yeah, I totally agree. I think they play best player available, and that's the way it is. Calhoun says defensive backs Trice and Skinner are two of my favorites, likely third, early fourths, mid-round fourths. Check their YouTube vids, stats, measurables. I was showing Steve something about Trice last night, actually, from Purdue.
Yeah.
He had an injury. He had a knee injury. But to be honest, I think Corey Trice is good. He's 6'2". You can't teach size at the corner position. That would be a nice pick there for the Chiefs. What happened to Foskey, the rusher from Notre Dame? Nobody's talking about Foskey a lot, man. He broke the sack record at Notre Dame. He can get after the quarterback. I mean, he's not the most polished pass rusher in the world, don't get me wrong, but if you have the sack record at Notre Dame and you pass Justin Tuck, you can flat out play. I would be pumped to have Foskey in a Chiefs uniform if you can get him in the second round. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Sure. Check out offensive lineman Jake Witt and edge rusher Caleb Murphy. I will make note of that. Calhoun, I will do that for sure. Scott, I like the thought of trading up in the second and getting Felix, Foskey, or BJ Ojolari. Would you be disappointed? No.
All three of them are good.
No.
I think Felix and BJ are a little better than Foskey just because they're more polished, but I don't think that there's that big of a gap. I do think Foskey will be good.
Right. I love BJ Ojolari. He's my guy. He could maybe, if he puts on just a little bit of weight, he kind of does what Spags likes to a certain degree. So, we'll see. Adetomi Edebore is also going to be a nice edge rusher.
He's athletic as crap, dude. Like his dude can go off.
Yeah, Mel Kiper actually has him into his top 50 now, but I read something yesterday that said a lot of scouts are seeing him as a mid 4th round pick. So I think it's shot in the dark. You don't know. Certain teams.
I want to say it's his size that they don't like either.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's same thing. So I know we're talking about football right now, but we're actually talking about getting memberships together. So we might be rolling out memberships soon. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, we're going to have those done probably within the next week or so, and we'll get that rolled out. That way you guys can get some cool stuff and become members of the channel. So keep an eye out for that. I just wanted to throw that out there. Brenda, I see where you said you're checking out. Great show. Hey, thank you. We appreciate you being here. Yeah, come back next time. Yep. Check out our video with Calijah Kancey. You need to do that.
Later, Doug. Appreciate you being here too. Scott, would you take double A in the first? No, I think it's a little too rich. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Player,
I mean, like I said, he's athletic. There's a lot of potential. There's a high ceiling, but there's a low floor. Like it's you're either going to knock one out of the park or you're going to whiff big with Adebore.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, this has been fun tonight, dude. We appreciate you guys tuning in and watching, the live draft with Daniel Harms. I had a good time, Steve, didn't you? I thought Daniel's super knowledgeable. I mean, it's just,
yeah, for sure.
It's easy to see.
Well, Ryan is too. And we had Ryan on last week. So it's cool to get different perspectives because they don't agree about everything. If you watch their show, they'll go back and forth a little bit on certain players and things like that. So it's cool to get all these different, opinions. And we're going to have another guy on coming up soon, Bro Schmo. If you haven't checked his channel out, check that out. He digs really far into the draft. I'm talking all year long. This guy knows this stuff, and it's going to be fun to pick his brain too. And the great thing about it is what I think about players in the draft or what Mike thinks about players in the draft could be night and day different from, say, Daniel and Ryan. And then you bring Bro Schmo into the mix, and he's completely on a different wavelength. And it's just cool to see all of it because, I mean, we get caught up in our own idea of everything, but I mean, opinions, you know what they are. They're like assholes. Everybody has one. So, I mean, you don't know what these guys are going to do, like Brett Veach or his crew or whoever. That you have no idea what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah, it's different, but it is fun to do it. It's fun to look at the mock drafts. As Daniel said, you go to different websites, you have different draft boards. You never know what you're going to do. It's fun to take random shots in the dark. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. We appreciate you guys being here. It's been a good time. We appreciate everybody coming in and giving us your time. And it's not easy to sit around and watch YouTube videos. We get it. If you haven't, go back and watch the interview with Calijah Kancey. I'm telling you that he is such a he's such a good dude. We asked him what he brings to a room, and the first thing he said was accountability, and he just wants to lift everybody up and be positive. And if that doesn't tell you that fits in with what Kansas City and being part of the community is, that's Chiefs football to a T. And I would love to have Calijah here. I know Daniel's not big on him as a first-round talent. He thinks he's going to get wiped out. That's his opinion. That's cool. I totally respect it. But in my opinion, I believe Calijah can come in and he's gonna make some noise in an NFL uniform. So go watch that one. And yeah, guys, we appreciate it. Steve, do you have any last words for him before we get out of here?
No, just if you guys were watching the mock and you like to do mocks yourself, make sure to check out Walk the Mock. We're actually partnered with them. So if you go over to walkthemock.com, you can go ahead and join there, and you get you can make your own draft rankings and everything. It's an excellent layout. To me, it's more visually, like, aesthetics are way better than every other one. Like, it's fun. It's got a cool little presentation. You can get on and do live drafts. You can pick your team. So, you can be drafting against other teams, fans, and things like that. It's very, very cool. And if you use the code ACU, when you sign up, you can actually get 50% off either your first year or your first month, whichever one you want to go with. So definitely check those guys out if you like to do mock drafts yourself.
Yeah, you can draft for free there too. You don't have to pay, but it's $5 for a month, and I want to say like 50 for a year. But yeah, with ACU, you'll get 50% off both of those, so you can save potentially $25. And they do cool stuff all year long, so it's pretty awesome.
Right.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys, and good looking out. We'll be back probably later. I don't know if we'll be back later in the week with a live, but definitely next Tuesday we'll be back on with Bro Schmo. So we will see you guys then. You guys have a good one. Go Chiefs.
See you guys.